Stay tuned after the presentation for an alternate simulation. Welcome, dear viewers, to another spine-chilling episode of Tournament of Horrors, brought to you by Scripted by Machines. In today's matchup, we pit two of the most terrifying entities against each other, Pennywise the Dancing Clown and the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers. Prepare yourselves for a battle like no other, as these titans of terror clash in a fight to the death. First, we have Pennywise the Dancing Clown. This ancient cosmic entity preys on the children of Derry, Maine, emerging every 27 years to feast on their fear. Pennywise, also known as It, can shapeshift into whatever its victims fear the most. Its favorite form, however, is that of a creepy, sinister clown. Pennywise uses manipulation, psychological torment, and sheer terror to paralyze its victims before devouring them. With millions of years of existence and a hunger for fear, Pennywise is a force to be reckoned with. Next, we have the Creeper, a demonic creature from the Jeepers Creepers series. The Creeper awakens every 23 years for 23 days to hunt and feed on human body parts, which it uses to regenerate and sustain itself. With wings like a bat, an insatiable hunger, and an arsenal of deadly weapons, the Creeper is a relentless predator. It meticulously selects its victims, drawn by their fear and unique attributes. The Creeper is a master of ambush and brute force, making it a deadly adversary. Today's showdown in the Tournament of Horrors promises to be an unforgettable battle. Who will emerge victorious in this epic confrontation, Pennywise, the ancient entity of fear, or the Creeper, the relentless predator? Stay tuned and find out as we delve into the dark depths of their encounter. The moon hung low over Derry, Maine, casting long shadows through the desolate streets. The leader of the group, Mike, urged them on.
Come on, guys, we have to keep moving!
His voice was hoarse, barely concealing the panic that gripped his heart. Behind them, the twisted laughter of Pennywise echoed, a haunting melody of doom. They had encountered the dancing clown in the dilapidated house on Neibolt Street, a place whispered about in hushed tones and fearful glances. Pennywise had appeared before them in various horrific forms, each one more terrifying than the last. The fear he instilled was palpable, a tangible force that clawed at their sanity. As the teenagers stumbled into the outskirts of town, they found themselves in the shadow of an old, abandoned church. It stood like a sentinel against the night, its crumbling facade a testament to forgotten faith. The group hesitated, their eyes darting around nervously.
We can't stop now! He's right behind us!
But before they could make a move, a low, guttural growl reverberated through the air. From the darkness emerged a figure, monstrous and malevolent. The Creeper, with its ancient, leathery wings and piercing eyes, had found new prey. The teenagers screamed, their voices blending into a cacophony of horror. The Creeper moved with terrifying speed, its claws slicing through the air with deadly precision. One by one, the teenagers fell, their cries for help swallowed by the night. Deep within the sewers of Derry, Pennywise felt the fear of his prey abruptly vanish. His eyes narrowed, his painted smile curling into a snarl. He had been savoring the delicious terror, ready to feast on their fear. Now, something had stolen his meal, and that was unacceptable. Emerging from a storm drain, Pennywise moved through the town with eerie grace, his eyes scanning the darkness. He reached the scene of the massacre, his anger palpable. The ground was stained with blood, and the air was thick with the scent of death. Pennywise's eyes glowed with an otherworldly light as he surveyed the remains of his would-be victims. His voice, a low, menacing growl, echoed through the empty streets.
Who dares take what is mine?
The Creeper, sensing another presence, turned its gaze toward Pennywise. The two creatures locked eyes, a silent understanding passing between them. This town wasn't big enough for both of them, and a showdown was inevitable. Pennywise's form shifted and twisted, reflecting his rising fury.
You think you can come into my territory and take my prey?
His voice dripped with malice and menace. The Creeper responded with a guttural roar, its wings spreading wide as if to challenge the clown's claim. The moonlight cast their shadows on the ground, two monstrous silhouettes poised for confrontation. The battle for dominance over Derry had begun, each entity determined to assert its reign of terror. The night air was thick with tension as Pennywise and the Creeper faced each other in the moonlit clearing. The Creeper's eyes glowed with hunger, its body coiled to strike. Pennywise stood still, his smile widening into a grotesque grin.
You think you can challenge me, monster?
Pennywise taunted, his voice a haunting whisper that echoed through the night. The creeper responded with a low, menacing growl, lunging forward with terrifying speed. Their clash was brutal and fierce. The creeper's claws slashed through the air, aiming for Pennywise's jugular, but the clown was quick, his form shifting and twisting to evade the attacks. Pennywise retaliated with supernatural strength, his blows landing with bone-crushing force. Yet, no matter how many times Pennywise struck, the creeper regenerated, each wound healing almost instantly. Pennywise's frustration grew as he realized the creeper's resilience. This creature wasn't going to die easily. Pennywise leaped back, his eyes narrowing as he assessed his opponent. He could continue this battle indefinitely, but it would be a waste of his energy. With a final sneer, Pennywise vanished into the shadows, leaving the creeper alone in the clearing. The creeper, momentarily confused, let out a frustrated roar, its eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of the clown. The creeper catches the scent of fresh prey. It moved with predatory grace, following the trail of fear. It saw a young girl, her hair disheveled, running through the woods. The creeper's wings snapped open, propelling it forward with a deadly grace. The girl stumbled and fell, her cries for help echoing through the trees. The creeper swooped down, claws extended, ready to claim its next victim. But as it reached out, its claws passed through the girl's form, which shimmered and then vanished into thin air. The creeper roared in frustration. But just as it began to turn away, it caught sight of another figure, this time a boy, sprinting toward an old, decrepit house. Each time the creeper lunged for a victim, it found only air, each illusion dissolving just as it was about to strike. But the scent of fear was strong, and the creeper's hunger drove it forward, deeper into Pennywise's trap. The illusions led the creeper through the abandoned streets of Derry, past the crumbling remains of forgotten buildings and eerie playgrounds. Each illusion was more convincing than the last, each victim more terrified, fueling the creeper's relentless pursuit. Finally, the trail led to the entrance of the Derry sewers. The creeper hesitated for a moment, its instinct screaming caution. But the overwhelming need to feed drove it onward. It descended into the darkness, its eyes piercing through the gloom as it searched for the source of the fear it had been tracking. The sewers were a maze of twisting tunnels and damp corridors, the air thick with the stench of decay. Pennywise's laughter echoed through the darkness, a chilling sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. The creeper moved cautiously, its senses on high alert. It caught glimpses of movement in the shadows, fleeting images of children huddled in fear. But every time it tried to reach them, they vanished, replaced by mocking laughter. Pennywise was toying with the creeper, leading it deeper into his domain, where he held all the power. The creeper moved cautiously through the labyrinthine sewers, its eyes glowing in the dim light. The smell of decay and dampness filled the air, but there was another scent, more subtle yet unmistakable: fear. Pennywise's presence was palpable, the very walls seemed to hum with his malevolent energy. Pennywise watched from the shadows, his grin widening as the creeper ventured deeper into his domain. It was time to take this game to the next level. As the creeper advanced, the sewers began to change. Paths that had been open just moments before were now blocked by solid walls. Places where walls had stood were now open doorways, each one a portal to another place, another time. The air shimmered with the energy of Pennywise's illusions, creating a disorienting, ever-shifting maze. The creeper snarled, its frustration mounting. It sensed the deception, but it had no choice but to move forward. Each step it took, Pennywise twisted the environment further, ensuring that the creeper could not retrace its steps. Ahead, the creeper saw several doors, each one leading to a different scene from its past. It hesitated, its eyes flicking from one door to the next. Each door was a vivid recollection, each scene a part of the creeper's long, dark history. The first door, an old, decrepit barn, filled with the echoes of screams and the scent of fresh blood. This was where the creeper had hunted decades ago, preying on a family that had sought refuge in the countryside. The second door, a sunlit field, where the creeper had chased down a terrified young woman, her cries for help lost in the vast emptiness. The third door, a dark, abandoned church, similar to the one in which it had confronted the teenagers. The church bells tolled ominously, a reminder of its many victims. The creeper stepped through the door, finding itself inside the abandoned church. The air was thick with the scent of dust and decay, the walls adorned with peeling paint and faded murals. The pews were broken, their wood splintered and rotting. Dim light filtered through the stained glass windows, casting eerie patterns on the floor. But something was off. The creeper sensed it immediately. The church was too perfect, too pristine in its decay. As the creeper moved deeper into the church, the scene began to shift and change. The walls seemed to pulse and breathe, the light flickering in unnatural patterns. Shadows moved independently of any light source, dancing and twisting in impossible ways. The pews elongated and warped, creating an almost labyrinthine structure within the church itself. As the illusion deepened, the church transformed into a place from the creeper's own dark memories. The walls melted away, replaced by a dense, dark forest under a moonless sky. The air was thick with fog, muffling all sound and making it difficult to see more than a few feet ahead. The trees loomed tall and foreboding, their branches twisting like skeletal hands reaching out to grasp the unwary. This was a place the creeper knew well, a hunting ground from a time long past. It remembered the thrill of the chase, the scent of fear on the wind, and the satisfaction of the kill. But now, it was different. The forest seemed endless, the path winding and looping back on itself in impossible ways. The creeper moved cautiously, every sense on high alert. Pennywise watched from the shadows, his eyes gleaming with malevolent satisfaction as the creeper wandered through the illusionary forest. The creature was powerful, but here, within the maze of Pennywise's design, it was helpless. The creeper's movements grew more frantic as it realized there was no escape. Satisfied with his work, Pennywise slowly backed away, leaving the creeper to its fate. He knew that without a steady source of fear to feed on, the creeper would weaken and eventually perish. The clown retreated into the depths of the sewers, his laughter echoing through the labyrinth. Pennywise couldn't resist returning to check on his trapped prey. Pennywise appeared at the edge of the illusionary forest, watching as the creeper stumbled through the thick fog. The creeper's roars of frustration echoed through the trees, but it could not see the source of its tormentor. Pennywise chuckled softly, savoring the sight of his enemy's growing despair. Second visit. The creeper's condition had worsened. It moved with difficulty, its body weakened by the lack of sustenance. Pennywise taunted it from the shadows, his voice a sinister whisper that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. The creeper lunged at the illusions, but each time it fell short, its strength fading. Third visit. By now, the creeper could barely stand. It lay on the ground, its breath coming in ragged gasps. Pennywise watched with glee, his eyes shining with sadistic delight.
Look at you, a once great predator reduced to this. How the mighty have fallen.
Time passed, and Pennywise's visits became less frequent. He knew the end was near for the creeper. When Pennywise returned to the illusionary forest, the sight that greeted him was one of utter desolation. The creeper lay motionless on the ground, its eyes closed, its body emaciated and lifeless. The great hunter had finally succumbed to starvation, unable to find any sustenance within the twisted maze Pennywise had created. Pennywise approached the body, his grin widening as he took in the sight. He nudged the creeper with his foot, but there was no response. The creeper was dead, its reign of terror ended by the very fear it had once thrived on. Pennywise stood over the creeper's body, reveling in his victory. He had outsmarted and outlasted his formidable foe, proving once again that he was the true master of fear. The sewers echoed with his laughter, a chilling sound that seemed to reverberate through the very fabric of Derry. With a final glance at the fallen creeper, Pennywise turned and melted into the shadows, his form shifting and twisting as he disappeared into the depths. The town of Derry was his once more, and he would continue to feed on the fear of its inhabitants, growing stronger with each passing day. The illusionary forest began to dissolve, the twisted landscape fading away to reveal the cold, damp walls of the sewers. The creeper's body lay in a pool of water, a grim reminder of the battle that had taken place. The town above continued on, unaware of the ancient struggle that had unfolded beneath their feet. Pennywise, victorious and ever watchful, would bide his time, waiting for the next opportunity to instill terror in the hearts of those who dared to enter his domain. The legend of the dancing clown would live on, a nightmare that would never truly die. And so, we congratulate Pennywise, the dancing clown, on being the victor in today's epic battle. His cunning, manipulation, and mastery over fear have once again proven that he is the ultimate predator in the town of Derry. But why did the AI choose Pennywise as the winner? The AI has determined Pennywise as the victor based on an extensive analysis of their abilities, strengths, and weaknesses. In 10,000 simulated battles, Pennywise emerged victorious in 55% of them. The AI simulations considered various scenarios, tactics, and outcomes, ultimately showing Pennywise's consistent edge over the creeper. Here's why Pennywise emerged as the dominant force in this confrontation. Pennywise demonstrated superior tactical thinking. By luring the creeper into the sewers and creating a maze of illusions, Pennywise effectively neutralized the creeper's strength and regenerative abilities. The battle took place in Pennywise's territory, where he could manipulate the environment to his advantage. The creeper was continuously led into traps and false leads, ultimately leading to its demise. Pennywise's ability to instill terror and manipulate his surroundings played a crucial role. The creeper, although resilient, could not withstand the relentless psychological assault. Pennywise has existed for millions of years, feeding on fear and adapting to countless encounters. His patience and long-term strategy were key in outlasting the creeper. While the creeper's regenerative abilities are formidable, they rely on consuming body parts. Pennywise exploited this by depriving the creeper of any victims, slowly starving it to death. Pennywise's ability to change forms and create illusions gave him a significant edge in confusing and disorienting the creeper. Although Pennywise's weakness to belief and courage was not a factor the creeper could exploit, it remains a significant aspect of his lore. Thank you, dear viewers, for tuning into another spine-chilling episode of Tournament of Horrors, hosted by Scripted by Machines. Today's epic battle between Pennywise and the creeper has shown us the true power of fear and manipulation. Pennywise's cunning and mastery over illusions ultimately led to his triumph, solidifying his reign of terror over Derry. But the horrors don't end here. We want to hear from you, our valued audience. Don't forget to comment below with the matchups you'd like to see in future episodes. Who will face off next in our viewer-recommended battle series? Your suggestions could inspire the next terrifying showdown. Thank you once again for joining us in this dark journey. We appreciate your support and engagement. Until next time, keep your friends close and your fears closer. The moon hung high over the rural town of Derry, Maine, casting long, eerie shadows across the deserted streets. The town, known for its mysterious disappearances and haunting atmosphere, was particularly oppressive tonight. Fear lingered in the air, thick and palpable, like a dense fog that clung to every corner. Drawn by the overwhelming scent of fear, the creeper soared silently above the town, its leathery wings blending into the night sky. Every 23 years, it awoke to hunt, and this time, the scent had led it to Derry. The creeper's heightened senses picked up the faintest tremors of terror, each heartbeat an anxious breath a beacon in the dark. The creeper descended silently, landing in the shadows near a dilapidated storm drain. The scent was stronger here, almost intoxicating in its intensity. With predatory grace, the creeper moved towards the sewer opening, its eyes gleaming with anticipation. As it slipped into the darkness, the stench of fear grew stronger, guiding it deeper into the labyrinthine tunnels beneath Derry. Navigating the twisting, damp corridors of the sewers, the creeper's senses were on high alert. The walls seemed to pulse with an eerie energy, and the echoes of distant whispers and footsteps filled the air. Every so often, the creeper would catch glimpses of movement in the shadows, but the true source of the fear remained elusive. The further the creeper ventured, the stronger the scent became. It was a cocktail of pure terror, emanating from deep within the sewer system. The creature's hunger grew, driven by the promise of fresh prey. It moved with purpose, its claws clicking softly against the wet concrete, its nostrils flaring as it homed in on its quarry. At last, the creeper rounded a corner and came upon a horrifying scene. A group of teenagers, their faces pale and eyes wide with terror, huddled together in a small, dimly lit chamber. They were being tormented by Pennywise, who loomed over them in his grotesque clown form. His eyes glowed with a sinister light, and his sharp-toothed grin stretched impossibly wide.
Why so scared? Don't you want to play with me?
The teenagers screamed, their fear reaching a fever pitch as Pennywise advanced on them, his form shifting and twisting into their worst nightmares. One by one, he took on the appearance of their deepest fears, each transformation more terrifying than the last. The creeper watched from the shadows, its own predatory instincts ignited by the scene before it. The scent of fear was almost overwhelming, and the creature's hunger surged. It realized that this was no ordinary predator it faced, but another entity that fed on the same primal emotion. Determined to claim these terrified souls for itself, the creeper moved closer, ready to confront Pennywise and assert its dominance. The air was thick with tension, a silent promise of the impending clash between two monstrous forces. The eerie glow of Pennywise's eyes illuminated the dark chamber, casting flickering shadows on the damp walls. The teenagers, trapped in their worst nightmares, could do nothing but cower and scream. Their fear was a palpable force, feeding the ancient entity that tormented them. From the shadows, the creeper emerged, its eyes locked on Pennywise. The clown turned, sensing the new presence, and a twisted grin spread across his face.
Well, what do we have here? A new friend come to play.
The creeper's response was a guttural growl, its wings unfurling to their full, terrifying span. Pennywise's grin faltered for a moment, recognizing a fellow predator. But the clown quickly recovered, his form shifting into a monstrous spider-like creature, ready to defend his territory. The battle began with a flurry of movement. The creeper lunged at Pennywise, claws slashing through the air. Pennywise countered with a powerful swipe of his many-legged form, but the creeper dodged with unnatural agility. The two creatures clashed, their attacks echoing through the sewers like thunder. Realizing that brute force alone would not be enough, Pennywise resorted to his greatest weapon, fear. The chamber darkened, and the walls seemed to close in as Pennywise created a nightmare realm around them. Horrific visions filled the space, each tailored to break the creeper's resolve. The creeper found itself surrounded by images from its own long and bloody history, past victims, places of terror, and moments of vulnerability. The monstrous entity wavered, its predatory focus blurring under the psychological assault. But the creeper was not like Pennywise's usual prey. It was a hunter, accustomed to fear and driven by an insatiable hunger. Shaking off the illusions, the creeper focused on the source of its torment. It lunged at Pennywise, ignoring the phantom pains and grotesque visions, striking with savage determination. Pennywise, momentarily stunned by the creeper's resilience, reverted to his clown form.
You think you can beat me?
Frustration creeping into his voice.
I'm the eater of worlds. I'm the fear itself.
But the creeper was relentless. It closed the distance between them, its claws and teeth finding purchase in Pennywise's flesh. The ancient clown howled in pain, his form flickering between realities. The creeper's strength and ferocity began to overwhelm Pennywise, pushing him to the brink. Desperation set in. Pennywise tried to retreat into the shadows, but the creeper was faster. With a final, powerful strike, the creeper pinned Pennywise to the ground. The clown's form shifted wildly, trying to escape, but the creeper held firm, its grip unyielding. Realizing that physical attacks alone would not be enough to end Pennywise, the creeper used its cunning. It began to rip away at the illusions surrounding them, exposing Pennywise's true form, a grotesque, otherworldly creature vulnerable outside its realm of influence. Pennywise's eyes widened in terror as the creeper's claws tore into his true form. His laughter turned to screams, echoing through the sewers as his essence began to dissipate. The creeper, feeding on the last remnants of Pennywise's fear, grew stronger with each passing moment. With one final, devastating blow, the creeper ended Pennywise's existence. The clown's form shattered, his essence scattering into the darkness. Silence fell over the chamber, the oppressive weight of fear lifting as Pennywise's presence faded. The creeper stood victorious, its body glowing with newfound strength. It turned its gaze to the terrified teenagers, who stared in stunned silence. For a moment, they thought they might be next, but the creeper, sated and powerful, had no need for further sustenance. It spread its wings and soared into the darkness, leaving the teenagers to scramble out of the sewers, their minds forever scarred by what they had witnessed. The town of Derry, for the first time in centuries, was free from Pennywise's terror. But the victory of the creeper hinted at new horrors to come. With Pennywise defeated, the creeper's power had grown, and its hunger would eventually return. The cycle of fear and predation was far from over. As the creeper claimed its victory, the legend of Pennywise came to a close, but the story of terror in Derry continued. New nightmares awaited, and the shadows would always hide new predators.